We're all set. Ready to go.
We'll call this meeting to order.
Okay.
Would you please, call
Mrs. Leskowitz?
here?
Mrs. Butler? Here. Mrs. Donahue? Here. Mr. B?
Here.
Okay, and then we'll, stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, could I get a motion to approve, tonight's agenda?
I'll move.
I'll second.
No discussion, all right, then.
Wait.
Oh, is there a discussion? I'm sorry.
Discussion.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
Just, for clarification, are we approving tonight's agenda or the agenda within the agenda as well?
No, just tonight's agenda. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Just wanted to make sure.
You're good, you're good. So are we good? Is everybody good with the agenda, tonight's agenda?
Yes.
Okay. And then we had a second, right? And we have no more discussion.
Did I second?
Yes.
Okay, if I was thinking
You've got him. All right, and then we,
Mrs. Butler? Yes. Mrs. Donahue? Yes. Mr. B?
Yes.
Mrs. Leskowitz?
yes. All right, now we have one, public participation for the agenda item, Ms. Julie Reese.
Good evening, board. Just a couple of questions today. First of all, I'd like the new arrangement. We can see you accept the podium. I have to sit on, but still like it better. I just have a couple questions, a couple of question comments. For the new positions, I would ask again that you work on the strategic plan before hiring and gluttony of administrators. And then my question was on the policy, just in the discussion section of, I don't know, maybe I can't ask this, the discussion section of next week's agenda. So first of all, I didn't understand why if it was a discussion item, why it wouldn't be on workshop. But aside from that, the policy 5331 rescind policy, it doesn't say what's changing, there was nothing attached to the agenda, and the policy is missing from board docs. So didn't know what it was or what's going on with that, if you could just explain what's changing. Thank you, that's it.
Oh, thank you very much. Is anybody else who want to go? Okay. All right, now we'll go into the review of the board agenda.
We can start with my stuff, right? Other than the minutes and everything else that we get through, Then we have this special presentation. Would you want to talk a little bit about that or no?
No, other than just to say that we've added. You, so it's fine about it.
We have one item up for discussion on unfinished business. I followed up with the board, but I'm gonna summarize a little better and put it out here for discussion next week. Is there any other unfinished business that I'm missing? I thought that was the only other thing we needed to address from us.
I had a question about the fencing over the elementary school. Are we waiting on
Yeah, we don't,
feedback?
we haven't received any more quotes. so,
Okay, I just wanted to.
Yeah,
I saw a quote in your expense sheet.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if that was just like,
yeah, we're trying to
Plug.
get free
okay,
because of the potential costs.
I'll do it.
Yeah, so. Got a meeting this Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
And may we ask if there might be an update about the strategic plan, because we did talk about it in the February workshop meeting, regular meeting. about looking into a facilitator for that event. I just wonder if there's anything new that can be.
There is, having a hard time getting on anybody's calendar, like this spring, which is, I think, what we kind of hoped. Yeah, I need some direction. I've reached out to K-12, OSBA also. They'd like to speak with us and see if it's a product that we're looking for. So the two individuals I reached out are already, their calendars.
Oh, okay. That's
Right now,
awesome.
they couldn't do anything until the summer.
Oh.
Yeah, so, so if we can get some dates and, do Zoom meetings with reps from both of those places and see. I think if we go outside that school network to something bigger, it's gonna be real expensive.
Right, that's what I was gonna ask you. So if we went to have space with those two, they would still build a product like they did, or whoever did the last one? Or would they just do the facilitator, or could we just pick and choose what we want?
Probably pick and choose. I probably, knowing both of those in organizations, they usually offer tiers of service.
Gotcha. I think we're also on board, right, with not getting somebody to do everything, but definitely need some help with the facilitation portion of it.
Chat GPT.
What is it?
AI chat.
Let's
Oh, there you go, yeah.
let's just do it ourselves and let someone check it.
And I guess that's an option too. I mean, me personally, I don't know if I could coordinate all that. And
Yeah, there's legal stuff, so I wouldn't,
yeah, I think better with somebody else helping with the facilitating part and,
Yeah.
and getting all that together. But the final product. I
Get
guess.
some dates and
Do you want me to just give you like dates that I can't do it, or wait, or if they have some dates and I can just.
yeah, I can't, they'll work around us.
Okay,
So,
all
yeah.
right, I'll let you know, yeah.
So no need to put it on the agenda for next week.
Probably not, right, well, because,
that's,
Yeah, you can go ahead and put it on there,
Yeah,
just
Okay.
hopefully we'll have
right,
secure a date.
at least then we won't forget about it.
I'll add it to the agenda.
Because we can always just keep pushing it, right?
Yeah.
Just do an update and we don't have to, we're not committed to.
Okay, so we have the bank reconciliation. Books balanced on the first, so I'm always happy when that happens. One thing that we did add that hasn't been on our bank reconciliations is the payroll bank account and their outstanding checks. It's always been done separately here for some reason, but this month, Ms. Hatter and I were able to combine everything and make sure we were all in agreement. So that's every penny that is in the district right now, well, as of February 29th. So for your review. We have our investments out there as well, if you want to take a look. One of the things I just sort of briefly wanted to go through is the cash summary report. Everybody always goes to the last column to think that that's our available cash here. It is not. Your fund balance is your available cash right now, and I think here it says like 5 million and some change. These are your outstanding purchase orders, encumbrances. So those are purchase orders that have been issued but not yet paid. And so this less this gives us your unencumbered balance, right? So I have to have enough money to cover the POs that are out there. Now, oftentimes or sometimes it's probably the best thing, you will see a negative amount over here. And that's because we have more purchase orders in place than we do cash. That doesn't alarm me because we're allowed to anticipate our revenue.
Yeah.
And so if the revenue exceeds that, we're okay. Like in some of these, we're gonna have some negatives because I was anticipating our tax payment maybe at the end of February and we didn't get it till the second week of March. But that's all cleared up now because we got it Monday and Tuesday, so this week, so. But just to give you an idea of what you're looking at here. So it's always the fund balance. That's what we are going to reconcile to. So that should always match what we have on the bank reconciliation.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And then what was the difference between encumbrance and,
Encumbrances are outstanding purchase orders.
okay,
So it's like we've already obligated these funds for a purchase,
Mhm.
and then it's less, you take that from the cash and that's your unencumbered balance.
oh.
But that's actual cash on here, so sometimes there's a lag in getting the revenue, so you'll sometimes see a negative, especially in your 500s. Because those are federal grants, and those are only on a reimbursement basis, so I have to request the money at the end of the month. And then they send it to me. I'm sorry.
I'm just kind of thinking, so you just submit for reimbursement from them.
Yes.
It's not a set amount that we're,
Mm-mm.
okay,
We get a set amount to spend all year.
right, but they dole it out.
No, you only have 5 days to spend every dollar you get from a federal grant, so
Okay.
instead of risking your hands getting slapped
Uh-huh.
for that, we just ask for a reimbursement.
Okay,
So as long as you have enough money in your cash, in your general fund cash balances, that's not a problem, they'll let you do that. So I always try to do it at the end of the month when we have everything posted for that. You sure? Okay, so unless anybody has any, let's see, that's the amended certificate, I go too far. We've got our general fund report for the month of February. We're doing pretty good compared to last year. Most of our areas were collecting more money than we did last year. The biggest one being in the state funding, because we are collecting $1.2 million more than we had last year in state funding. 1.8 actually, so that's 39% more than we had last year in state funding, because they're giving us more of the state school funding formula, so that's pretty good. As far as percentages, when you look at percentages, it looks like our interest income has jumped up by leaps and bounds, and that's good because interest rates, are going up a little bit. That's good on savings, but not on spending. But it's, as far as dollars, of course, it's, we're getting more of our money from the state than we have in. Income tax went down a little bit. It says 1.71, but I'm looking at, we lost 31,000, so I'm hoping we can pick up some of that when we get our next payment, so we'll have to wait and see. Expenses were running about 0.5% now, lower than anticipated, so pretty close. And if you look down here, you'll see that, we're doing much better than we were this time last year. And so we have over $2 million in variances, so we have more cash available at the end of this year.
Project, right? Okay, so.
Yeah, so, and then we have the presentation, and I can go through that next week if you want, or I can do it now, which would you prefer?
I mean, everybody can see it next week and I think, but I did have a question on it.
Okay.
On the expense snapshot,
Mhm.
under purchase services, I was just wondering, have we ever done like a cost benefit analysis about switching to any of those positions in-house?
We have, and in the past, it has not been, it hasn't been that, doesn't give us that much of a savings at all, because our insurance costs quite a bit more than theirs. But their salaries are higher, so I guess we could take a look and see, where they're at now, yeah.
I'm just wondering, especially like the school psychologist was one of the ones that popped up. I was gonna ask you that later.
Right.
That'd be one of them that, I can see some of the other ones that they're not as often enough that you would need it.
Right, we don't have a salary schedule or job description for psychologists, but that, I think, or do we? I know we don't have a salary schedule, but we would have to, we could certainly get that, yeah.
But yeah, I'm thinking as the demand goes up, perhaps some of these might be better.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that was the only question on the station, unless you guys had something, we wanna see it next week and then we can. And everybody's here. Yeah.
And then we have our detailed check register for your approval, payment of the bills in February, and then this is a new one. Okay, every year we have to approve the rates and amount as set by the Miami County Auditor's Office. And we have to do it by April, I think 19th. This is really making me think because it's not pulling up, but I think it's by March. April 1st. So I attached, their letter that says we have to approve and get it back to them. So this is their estimate on all of our current levies. So on the substitute emergency, on the capital improvements, on the bond retirement, and what years they expire. So they provide this revenue estimate and then for next year. Okay, and they also insist that our amended certificates or certificates of available balances, it shows how much money we are getting in. They insist that it matches this. Even though I think they're ultra conservative and I think we will get more, they insist that our books have to match what they say. So when you look at, because in March, as we collect all our taxes, those numbers are going to change because we change them to actuals when they exceed the estimate. Right, so we're gonna look at that, but when you go, well, why is your estimate so low? It's not mine, it's the Miami County Auditor's estimate, so but we do have to accept that every year and everybody will be required to sign that form next week. And turn it into the auditor's office. It's one of those procedural things we always have to do, so. And then here's our amended certificate of available resources and our appropriation recap because we approve everything. I did it again. By fund. So this is just a summary of each fund and how much we expect to spend. This is the prior year, so whatever we have in carryover is in, actual POs that were outstanding at the end of the year, and I'm hoping that these numbers will be left as we go along. Most of that's going to be in your 070 because we were in the middle of a building project. So of course those POs are pretty large and still aren't there. Unless anybody has any questions for me.
Because I had some on the check register, but I'll save those for next week, so.
And then at this AppCom report, as we went through before, I don't know how much detail you guys would like to hear, but as long as what we anticipate in our initial cash, our anticipated revenues don't exceed what we are expecting to spend, and this number is always positive, then we're good. That means our amended certificate for revenues is good. And our appropriations is good because we can't have our appropriations exceed our revenues, right? So this is just my extra check. I run this report before I present it to the board to make sure that I don't have any of these funds ending up in a negative amount that's going to be a problem for us to cover in the future. I can't say possible.
Grant award, I think.
Yeah.
Miss Pam, we've got a grant.
Oh, yes. I just added that. That's why I can't see it. I can't remember it. We have the security grant that we got from the state, the Auditor of State's Office. They awarded us $1,318.24 for cameras or
We'll take it.
training. We'll take every dollar, but sort of hoping they would give us a little more. And then Miss Campbell was able to secure or reflects those map lines grant from Troy at the Tip City Foundation, and I've attached the award letter for everyone to see it. And so I'm gonna open her account so that she can start spending on that money, and I'm hoping that it'll arrive soon. Usually they're pretty good about getting it to us. So once the money arrives, I'll put it in that account and send a budget to Ms. Campbell so she can start spending. So, and that's all I have for this month.
All right, looks like we'll go into the superintendent's report.
Right, that's not voted on, so we can move,
Oh.
we're just going on to section 8, 9, and 10. So recommendations for classified personnel. We're happy to have Gazelle Tashayeva back. She previously worked in the middle school, high school cafeteria. Left for a little bit, is coming back to help us in the elementary cafeteria. And I have a similar form that I shared with you with our our custodial staff. I have one of those that I'll get updated, include on here for next week. Then I have a recommendation under B for 2 substitutes for Deb Tringali and William Murray joining us as substitutes. I think we already have Deb and William on for other positions, so we're expanding their roles. Leave without pay request from Kristen Weber, and then resignations from Kristen Weber and Emily Wells, food service and healthcare clinician. So those are going to be those are my recommendations for next week. Questions, comments?
I have a question, something we skipped. I just, on your important dates,
Yeah,
so Eclipse Day, April 8th,
Yep.
is no school day. None of the staff, nobody reports,
it's no class, that's an educational progress day.
and the teachers have to report.
Correct.
Okay, I just think that, is it possible that they could have an E-day? The traffic's supposed to be horrible, and a lot of these teachers are gonna have kids at home. And so if we could maybe give a calamity day to the teachers so that they could also remain at home, that it might be good for our organizational care and support to look at that.
Yeah, we'll take a look.
Okay.
We're keeping an eye on it.
Okay,
Yeah. Back to classified personnel.
okay, sorry.
I was just gonna ask, on the dates, I know it's a little bit out yet, could you, put the graduation date out there?
Sure.
Just cause,
Yeah, it's 5/19 at 5 o'clock. Yeah, we'll get it on there.
And that brings up a question for me too. What about the testing dates, the state testing? Because I thought it was in 9 days, but so is it before spring break? Is that the, no, after?
Right after.
So maybe if you.
And I think the calendar is on the website. Should be. We can add those.
Okay, yeah.
thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to recommendations for certified personnel and hiring a long-term substitute for high school math. And kind of spelled out there what that person's pay will be for the first 30 days. It'll be $100 per day, and then for the remainder of the school year, be $200.
And is that because of the law that after 61 days, then they get bumped up? Is that?
No, that's something we did. We ran into, we had, I remember one within the first couple of weeks of school, leave us and to get a long-term sub. And that was just a long stretch to go from to that 60-day mark doing essentially all the work of the teacher.
Right.
And so we kind of broke it up, did something different. Gave them a bump halfway through that 60-day period.
Oh, okay.
60, on the 61st day, to your point,
Mhm.
ORC requires us then to pay them at a prorated.
We put them on the teacher's salary
Yeah,
and prorate the
step
rest of the
0.
year at step 0. So, and then they're eligible for sick leave and benefits.
So this is compensating, because it's more than just a supplement, so.
Right,
Like a
they're
supplement,
doing planning and.
they're doing
and-
everything
yes.
as if they're a regular teacher, so this is compensating for that above what just a supplement to,
Correct.
okay, gotcha.
Item B, then, we have teachers who have posted student teachers, and so there's stipend that goes along with that. And then we have a request, recommendation for leave without pay. Item C,
I'm sorry, so the teacher stipend, is that like a mentorship?
yeah, teacher, so yes, we accept student teachers have to get hours in and
Oh, that, okay.
practice teaching
Yeah.
and, yeah, and then these teachers are their school mentors.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yep, leave without pay. We have resignation for a supplemental contract at H. Pullman. So we'll be advertising for that position, and that is it. Certificated personnel.
Yeah, so I did have a question about that one too. If I can ask general questions, right, without, I mean, because you already got her name on there and stuff. So I read because I was shocked because my daughter and husband just went to the parent meeting and she had big plans. There was a lot going on. And then, I mean, there's supposed to be a clinic this week and now they're not because she submitted this. And then when I read it, it sounded like that the parents put her over the edge. So is that something that we can work on or smooth over, or is that something we can prevent? Or is that something I should be talking about right now?
Well, cat's out of the bag. Yeah, Mr. Smith and I've both spoken to Paige and offered our support and praise, number one, for everything that she's done and taking us in a direction that we thought was great for our school and
Yes,
for our cheerleaders, but just was a bit much, so.
well, I am very sorry to hear that. So
Me too.
So I don't know, going forward, because I mean, she can't be the only coach that, goes through a lot. With people that aren't happy with her, or whatever the case may be, but, so I was just wondering if there's something we could have done to prevent this, or going forward,
We
lessons
tried.
learned.
Yeah.
It's a shame,
Yeah,
because
I agree.
she did have an outstanding program scheduled
Sure did.
for the girls.
Yeah.
Right, that was my own question, sorry.
Would agree, yeah. Anything else for certified personnel? So, in recommendations for business, appointment of public records designee.
This is my favorite thing. We talked a little bit about this before, Ms. Leskwood, you have to appoint someone as the public records designee. Here, as in many other districts I've been a part of, that becomes me. I'm your public records designee, so one of the many things I do in that capacity is to attend 3 hours of great training on your behalf. But you
Oh,
must
thanks.
appoint me to do that, yeah. They lock you in a room and don't let you out. You can also attend online if you want, but if anybody chooses, and I think I put the link there for the Attorney General's office. If you choose to have 3 hours of time to sit and watch it online, they'll give you a certificate, just send it to me. If not, I will enroll and go on your behalf once you approve that. So,
Sharing is caring.
yeah.
One team, one fight.
So. You want me to?
Yeah, well, we roll into number 2, OCA, because you were here when you switched, right?
Yeah, well, that happened before I got here, but the decision happened before The switch happened during. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay. We are with WOCO. They're our service provider, our ITC. They help us with our software for the state software for accounting, for our payroll, all of that stuff. And they put in an RFP, request for proposal. They responded to that for our, looking around for Jason, because he helped me with this, but for our internet service provider. And so we're recommending that we stay with WOCO and what their cost is, because they know schools, they know what we're doing. It's sort of a one-stop shop kind of thing. And so we need your approval because this contract does exceed 25,000. So
That's a yearly renewal, annual renewal.
yes, we're required to get an RFP every year, so we get the best pricing and or the best service. You don't always have to pick the lowest price, but you have to pick, who you think's gonna provide the best service.
And this is just so we can renew it, and then the charges on the check register are just stuff that we've already.
Right.
From the previous contract, right?
Exactly.
Okay, item C is my continued recommendation for additional staff. As far as, shared lots of data with the board. Looking at the list of 21 similar districts to Bethel. They're only, as far as their central office staff, there are only 2 districts on there that have 9 central office personnel. That's Bethel, and the other's Bluffton exempted. Everybody else is a lot larger, and Bluffton exempted is 5th from the bottom of that group, and we're in the top 8 as far as student enrollment. I'm not sure if that qualifies as overindulgence or excessive eating, but I think we are well within the data there. We're not doing anything crazy here. Already shared the numbers at the elementary. Most of the elementaries are have an administrator for every 210 kids. We have 1 administrator for over 400. On and on with the counseling positions, the elementary, the middle school. We're below what's here in the county. Our kids and our staff need those positions, and so I bring them back to the board for your consideration next Monday. Tuesday, thank you. Gladly pay you Tuesday, whatever day. So lots of in item D, we have lots of donations from the Bethel Athletic Boosters, and appreciate their hard work and their gifts.
You do have some?
Oh. And then lastly, we have, so last month at the regular meeting, we had the release of the proposed calendar for 24-25. Now I'm asking the board for ORC can vote and approve it for next year. Those are the recommendations, their business next Tuesday.
If I may, thank you for bringing the sheet of new positions again. I know it's changed a little bit. I would like to request that it's removed from the from the consent calendar for next week for about 4 reasons. And those being that we're still in the discussion mode, and we've made some good efforts at discussing as a board. We will have a new board member that's joining, and very much like to have a full board to make this decision and allow for additional discussion and input. The third thing is, I know we have some guests who will be speaking. For example, next week, the
coordinator will come in and she's gonna give an update, and then the following month, the athletic director is gonna come in and give an update and talk to us, so I'd like to hear some of that input as well. And then the fourth thing, which I know, I brought up a little bit earlier, was the strategic plan. I just want to make sure that all the puzzle pieces are coming together properly. I think it's great that we have some discussions. There's a lot. I know we started with 23, then we went to 26, and I think in at previous special meeting, there were maybe 10 on the list. So it's hard to figure out exactly how to go forward with everything on the table. So there is a lot of discussion. I feel that needs to happen. So I would request that it gets removed from the consent calendar, but keep it on the discussion side as we bring on a potential new board member as well. That's just my thing.
I agree, because I have a lot of questions.
I'm sorry.
I agree, because I still have some questions. And it's a good point about the. Yeah, person.
So I would, it's your agenda, but you hired me to run the district. This is what I know. This is what I'm putting out there. It fits in the budget. And I would say get on oassa.org, get on the consortium, get on Bass's website, job website. We're behind already. You kick this to April, our pool is going to look different. Kick it to May, kick it to June. We're trying to get out there. We posted all those other positions. Need to get going. So,
So honestly, is this, how are you looking at this now? Like I said, we started with 23, it went to 26. I think there was 10 that came in last time. Are we to pick from this list? Are they prioritized? I'm just struggling what are we really supposed to be evaluating? The whole list in general, or?
I've made the recommendations, I've given rationale, I've given data. Those are my recommendations. So, there's more questioning, then I'll take them. Again, I think we've explained, I've explained, compared, I've shown data. You all say you appreciate data, showed you data. I don't know what else I can do. A strategic plan is really not going to guide personnel too much. These are, guidance counselors per number of students. It's pretty simple. Administrators per number of kids, per staff members. I could probably cut it that way. Probably gonna look the same. So, I don't know. So they're all on there. Yes, if you could say, Matt, we can stomach this. Take what I can get. Some is better than none. But we put a lot of time into doing this research because we believe that it'll help make our educational experience better here.
So I guess like some of the things I was wanting to know, we had discussed the business manager, and perhaps that would be in lieu of the assistant superintendent. But then if we go with a business manager, would that get rid of the requirement for a transportation supervisor? Or if we went with the dean of students, would that get rid of the need for the in-school suspension? So I think I'm still looking at some of those kinds of questions too. So I'm a visual person. So like if we mapped out the organization, how that would look. So you'd give me a board chart that had, if we had assistant superintendent and then all those that fall in that. But then now if we went to the business manager sense, then we could see what that looks like and how that would fall. And then again, then maybe a couple of these positions would fall off as a requirement. So not saying they're not required, but if they fall under somebody else, then perhaps they can come off with it. So I guess that I'm with you that I'd still like to see, or like some of the stats. I mean, how are we going to, we'll hire these people, help us move more kids on track other than 1.9%? Or if hiring these people, would it put our kindergartners that are at 20% not on track, would that move them down to like 10% or whatever? How does that help make this better? How does hiring these help our report card of the 2 stars in early literacy? Do these help this get better? So I guess that when I think of stats, so I am fully on board with what you're saying about the manning, and then like the principal, the assistant principal. So is that person gonna be K-5, the assistant principal? And then what if we move part of the kids over to the old admin building, if we have to, if it gets too big, if we outgrow that building and we have to slice off, just say K-2. So I'm not saying that's in the plan, I'm not saying that that's ever been discussed with anybody or approved anywhere, I'm just hypothetical. What if we have another influx and we don't have any more room over there and we have to move kids over here, but now we've got a principal over here and a principal over there, and then what does our assistant principal do? Does that person travel back and forth between 2 facilities? I guess these are the questions that when you refer to strat plan, that's what I'm thinking of too, is big picture, like where is all this going to fit into all that? And then like the intervention specialist, it says to reduce caseloads of current intervention specialists and accommodate growth. But I had asked to make sure that these folks will also help the struggling people, because I think what happens now is their primary focus is the IEP students. And then if they have time or whatnot, and they happen to be in the same classroom, perhaps they can help. But I want to make sure that we're also meeting the requirement for those other kids in there that are struggling. So do these 2 high school intervention specialists, are they also going to help the struggling students that just can't get the extra attention from the teacher because the teacher has 30 other kids in her class or his class, and the IEP kids have their specific plan that is being followed by the teachers? Then we got the 504 kids, but they would be the notch down from the IEP. So these are things, and then a reading curriculum director. I'm wondering if that also would be a person that would help us with all these reading stats that aren't stellar. So I guess that those would be my questions. And when I say stats, this is the kind of stats that I'm hoping and would want to be reassured that these positions are going to have that. Anybody else have?
I'm just interested in the business manager.
So,
I
you know, we all want the same thing, right?
Yes, absolutely.
But we all have different hats to wear
Mhm.
on this team of 7. Well, soon to be 7. Here's policy and governance. There's the fiscal side, it's operational, education program, which includes hiring and moving the pieces around. But still that same goal. We need to improve the education always. You know, it's that old coaching adage, you're never staying the same. Either get better or you get worse. So, you know, to answer your question, you know, some of these positions are just sheer operation. You know, as far as the principals, will it help us move the needle? Gives us a better shot at moving the needle because we have, this is, as I've talked to this group before about, you know, we start leaning on the principals to be the instructional leaders, not a curriculum director. We need to be working with our teachers, principals, building administration, with our teachers and helping them get the resources they need and helping them become the best teachers they can be. It's not going to happen when it's 2 of you and almost 1,000 kids. Guaranteed. It's a survival mode. Our high school is going to go through a 300 student growth that, you know, it is right now. Needs help. If he's going to work with the teachers who are in the front lines, working with the kids. So yeah, we've got a better shot if we have those people. You know, as far as an additional the assistant superintendent position. Keep in mind that we're going away from the director of curriculum. That was we were paying 115,000 for that position last year. So, think of it as we're taking from the academic side. So we're taking it this year, it's 80-some thousand. But ballpark-ish.
Yeah,
Cause she's part-time. now,
so she's down
Yeah.
3 days a week.
Yeah, so, okay, so, we're taking it away, you wanna put it on, the operational side, which we can, it's just about that gap on that side of the house. Different way to. But if that's what, I think that was talked about before, a business manager and the previous board was not real thrilled about it, and I think that was prior to me getting here, but it's helped. It helps. So does that, business manager help us with that? With, moving the needle academically? Indirectly, it does. It frees up me to work with the principals because I don't have to worry about service transportation and facilities.
And can't they evaluate non-certified? Can
Oh,
they,
yeah.
so they can do the classified evaluations and take that off your plate. I have a question about the reading specialist for the elementary school. So how many will we have? I mean, I guess I'm looking at the best case scenario. I would like to see a reading specialist dedicated at each grade level, at least K through 3. So that there is a direct person that has that smallish number that they're directly respond to, that is focused on our kindergarten reading specialist and our first grade reading specialist in our second grade. So that it's hyper focused in those first 3 years. Because if we're gonna reach 100% graduation, we can start in kindergarten. And we can decide we wanna have 100% of our third graders reading at level. And so that will help feed our vision. I was thinking, what do you think about that?
Ready to give more?
I would give
Because-
more
because here's-
reading
because here's-
specialists at each
because
grade
here's-
level.
here's
Me
the-
too, hands down.
Here's the problem, this is where we started in the last district, which they were in a lot worse shape than we are here. You still have those kids, the upper grades, the middle school, they're still behind, right? So
Mhm.
what do you do with them? And even some in high school.
Right,
And so you can't
I'm not
just
taking
take,
away.
let's take all the reading specialists and throw them all at the elementary. Makes sense, concentrated effort, let's get that. But we have a responsibility to.
Right, I
try to
didn't say,
help
I
those
didn't
kids.
say take some that we had on your list, I said, could we add? I would pony up the money to put a reading specialist at each grade level, K through 3.
And then wouldn't that reading curriculum director be able to look at the stats and monitor how well they're reading? Are they moving that needle? Are they moving more people on track? Why aren't they moving on track? That's because they can try this different, I don't know, curriculum, maybe that's not the right word, but can they try this tactic or that tactic? And then that person would oversee, because I want all the kids to read. I'm with you. If we need 10 in elementary and 3 in middle school and 1 more in high school, I'd say hire them if we have the money. Because I think that's so important, because it falls into all these other classes, because when they struggle with the reading, then when they get into math and they can't do the math reading problems because they struggle with their reading, and it just overflows into every subject that they have. So I think that that's one of our foundational, what would you call it? Foundational lessons or something that.
And I think it goes with your administrative led improvement. If you have your sentinel teacher, reading specialists at each level, they work with your principals, and there's more on the team, I think, that are better focused on the ground type troop, your sergeants of your infantry as
Stuff
an
we go
analogy.
military on.
as an analogy.
And then like the rationale too, is got either reading at a grade 2 or more grade levels behind. I want to get them before they even fall behind. If we got someone on the fence that looked like that they're gonna go off the fence, let's catch them before let's be proactive, not reactive, as much as we can. And I know that,
Well, these are title funds, so do they, I mean, is it mandated that they're two grade levels behind in order to use those funds?
No.
It's not,
No,
that's too tall.
we can serve however, it's just, we got a few of them,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
What?
We have a few.
So, we had two more at the elementary, we're at 4 specialists with, well, title services. But
Aaron saying.
If you add your real phone.
I'm not counting Ms. Randall,
Okay.
she's a different.
And I would only wanna hire them if it's gonna help. So if the elementary teachers that focus on their reading say, yes, we could do this, this, and this with these teachers, and we could break it down, small classes, breakouts, whatever that they would do. I don't wanna hire people just to check a box saying, oh yeah, I'll be reading specialists, if it's not gonna be beneficial. I want to make sure of that too. But I think it's encompassing. And I would say, we are not trying to get in your lane, but we also do the vision in addition to the governance, and I think that this is part of the vision. We'll iron it out during the strat plan, but I mean, at the end of the day, our vision is going to be academic achievement. Which we don't get a strat plan right now
No.
to outline that, so we don't have to
Not
wait
that
until,
complicated.
no, we just want these numbers to either get smaller if that's beneficial or bigger if that's where they need to be. And quite honestly, even at the proficient level, that's not gonna brag about. So according from what I understand, that the proficient level at the state testing, it's still not, it's not like they're getting 80s and 90s, equivalent in if they were taking a test on it. If they were taking a test in the school and they score proficient, it would be around a D, correct? Is that how the proficient level measures on the state?
That's what.
I'm not an academic person, so I usually stay out of his lanes, he's a pretty big guy, so. But I just look at it this way, we're behind, right? We're behind. So, and constantly our administrators, including me, we're putting out fires sometimes, putting out fires in our, our hair's on fire. But, so we're spending a lot of our time putting out fires and not moving the district forward. So I've been here 3 years and I've had wonderful, I've had all these ideas that I've wanted to implement, but then my staff kept, there's a lot of turnover. This is a difficult district to work in. You gotta have broad shoulders and thick skin, right? We don't have enough teachers, we don't have enough specialists, we don't have enough administrators. But if we add all these employees with nobody at the helm, it just makes it worse. You know what I mean? Because in my opinion, what we lack is leadership, because I've been digging through your data, digging through your accounts, doing things to see what we can do to make things better. And, they don't know what they're spending class fees on. They don't know how that works and how this moves forward. But in order to do that training and move people forward, you have to have the right people in the right place. If we wait till May, June, July, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel, somebody that can't get a job in another district. We don't want those people. Sorry, I'm just going to speak frankly. We want the best people we can get, people with experience. So that's my concern, is if we wait too long for any of these positions, we're going to find people that nobody else wanted. And I don't really want to, I don't want to do that. And I also don't want to flood classrooms with a lot of teachers and nobody having any idea how they're supposed to move forward or progress. We need to all be doing the same thing and we're not. So I just worry about the lack of leadership, because we've had a lot of turnover. I don't know how many treasurers you've been through. And just in leadership. So I get it, I understand, and I applaud your efforts to be informed and know where we're going. But I agree with Mr. Crispin, we need some leadership, because there's been a lot of things that haven't been done that need to be. That's just my 2 cents.
No, I mean. Yeah, I never want to set somebody down, and I'm not anti-M, and I know we need people at the top, I know we need people in the middle, we need people at the bottom, it all makes the wheels go around. But even like for instance, the dean of students, perhaps that would help. So the job description in our dean of students, it seems to focus a lot on truancy, but it does have a little splash of discipline. So my question would be, can we focus that more on discipline? Because I think discipline is a huge
Yeah.
problem. A huge problem. And we fix discipline, then maybe that will free up some plates just by fixing that. So I don't want to hire another a principal to fix the same thing that a dean of students would fix, or, you know, that we're allowing that principal to do more time with whatever that principal needs to be doing. So I'm not anti admin at all. I'm just saying that, like, these are some of the things that if we could look at big picture, then again, maybe all these positions wouldn't be needed, and then maybe we do have just enough for one more educational person or one more admin person, if that's really where we need that person. And if we get a business manager in here, that person should be able to evaluate what's going on and look across the board and see what is needed, not needed, and so on and so forth. I'm not against what you just
No,
said.
but as I will tell you as a treasurer, and there's positions being posted for business managers and treasurers and superintendents now as people are getting ready to retire. We're not waiting until May, June, or July to make our decisions. We'll jump on a new district and get all our stuff in a roll, so that, because we want to make sure that wherever we're leaving, I'm not saying that I am, I'm just saying hypothetically, that they have time to find a replacement, because those are difficult positions to fill, because you need somebody with experience. So if we wait too long, a business manager, and I know quite a few great ones, good ones, is gonna be like, that's too late, because my district, if they're loyal to their district, can't find a suitable replacement in 2 weeks when the school year
Yeah.
starts, you
Right.
know?
Well, I agree, but I mean, we were just saying that business managers not on this list.
Right,
I mean,
or assistant superintendent, yeah,
Yeah,
I mean. it
but
works both
I mean, I
ways, yeah.
see, they can, the assistant superintendent and the transportation supervisor probably can come off and can be consolidated if we're consolidating all our operations type programs under our business manager, right?
That's his area.
I mean,
I'm just,
No, we said we needed 2 people, transportation. Taking your business manager. That doesn't count as a full person.
they're
And that's, if you look at that, go back to that chart with similar districts, you'll see. They have people for all of those spots. Business manager, or assistant superintendent, and a transportation supervisor, and. If you get on their websites, and some of them have secretary or assistant supervisor. So we're.
yeah, definitely, we're gonna load up all of operations onto the business manager. They definitely need a dedicated secretary.
And even if we
Mhm.
started with the business manager, held off on the transportation supervisor, don't cross it out, just hold off. And let the business manager get situated, and then have that person come back and say, nope, I definitely still need a transportation supervisor because of X, Y, and Z, and these are all the reasons, and these would be the rules and responsibilities and duties that person would fill. And then the business manager would oversee what that person's doing. So I'm not saying one person's job is more important than the other, but if we got the cream of the crop of the business manager, and yet we can still get some help going on with transportation, and I think that they need some help over there, and then perhaps like a secretary, like I said, maybe that'd be a good start.
I think we're just redoing what the current model. Because you have. Person that's a transportation supervisor that's in charge of. Building, 30-some teachers, throwing some aides. How's that different than a business manager that's in charge of food service,
You know,
maintenance,
transportation.
and now transportation? It's even a bigger load.
Yeah.
And that's not gonna work, just tell me, it's not working now, it didn't work last year.
I think we all like the idea of a business manager who said prior to you coming, Do you happen to know the reason for the previous boards?
There were some
There's some
very
echo.
vocal community members that were against it. And at that time, I can't recall, but I was working 12, 15-hour days and working from home and on weekends, and I was begging for help. And the community did not want it apparently, or the few vocal community members did not want it. And so the board said, we can't make
Was
this
it-
happen.
Was it, they didn't want business manager or they didn't want admin added?
I think we don't want admin. I don't think there's but, yeah, I mean, a business manager can be in charge of construction. And usually that's a hat they wear when
Yeah,
there is
so,
construction. But that's not the only thing they do. They supervise and help supervise transportation, right? They help supervise food service and they help supervise all the maintenance. And custodial staff. And as we continue to get bigger and bigger, those are gonna continue to get bigger and bigger. I know that Mr. Crispin's fully capable of doing the operations side. I mean, he did a great job on the construction project. But he's working on what's more important is the education side. That's what we're here for, right?
That'll pull
Yeah.
all that off.
But, you know,
And that's what I
so,
said last time, is because I think,
Yeah.
the curriculum.
but I'm not sure if that's, he's good on the operation side as well. So if you get an assistant superintendent that's really phenomenal on the curriculum side, then that's what you hand off and then the superintendent. Or Steve, I don't know his thought process. I just feel like he's gonna hit me. He would never do that. But, I don't know his thought process about that, but that's what I've seen happen in the past in other districts, so.
Oh, the assistant superintendent, I mean, you can call it whatever, it's what you put in, what you're looking for requirements. And I would say if we call it a business manager, it's, we'll look at folks with a superintendent license or a business manager. Or maybe put business manager preferred license, and, but would take superintendent's license. So I just want to make sure we cast a wide net, not sure that the business manager pool is as deep as folks looking to be assistant superintendent. So that's why I want that.
So I have two things, the job descriptions, and I will admit, I didn't get a chance to really look at the business manager. Description that's in the folder, but are we like, I know that those are like, cookie cutter, if you will. Can we tailor those? For our
I think
use
there's
here?
a cost.
Well, no,
But can we just send it
Thanks.
ourselves? Can we just edit it and then?
yeah, we
post
can
that?
just,
I don't think so because they're copyrighted and we purchased that.
So only OSBA.
I think we tweaked one of them and got hit with like $50 or something like that. It's like, why? Yeah, because it's copyrighted, it's theirs, so the price just went up too.
because if they don't really fit what we need them to do,
Right.
then that's a problem. So that was my first thought. The other thing is, I'm not 100% sure that I am in agreement that only the best people jump first, because I feel like a good person might hang in there until that right job opportunity comes up, and they might, like you, that wanted to come here years ago and came back. I kind of feel like that's out there as well. I don't always feel like the best people go first, and that, you wait a month, then you'll start losing people. I do understand that potentially the pool might shrink, but it does not mean that that other person's not out there waiting to see how their shuffle in their building is gonna go. And sometimes that sways people's decisions, and then they decide, okay. So, anyway,
I
that's
agree with that.
my position on that.
I just like having a big pool, lot to choose.
Discussion. So
So, yeah, thanks. We have an we did that, calendar, and that was it for business. Those are the last, it's the last section we voted on.
And then. Right, this is committee. So a quick question on facilities committee. Are we going to start, so right now, is it more of just monitoring the punch list and wrapping up the end of the construction stuff?
One item.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So can we start rolling that into, what I would envision? A facilities committee that's gonna start looking at what facilities we're gonna need and what renovations we're gonna need and how we're going to accommodate all these people.
That'd be great.
So we're
Yeah,
all
because
agreeing
it's
on that,
coming.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it'd be a board committee, correct, right?
it is currently,
Oh,
yeah.
it is, okay, so it would remain that, and so we just need to start getting some people on it and figuring out where we're going with that. Right,
Cause there's gonna be a couple pieces to that, current and potentially new. And, yeah, so there'll be maybe even different groups.
so how does this work then, how do you like find people, like, do we just put a post on the web saying, hey, you guys wanna looking for volunteers and, okay. And so we can start rolling on that,
I think I forwarded the master facilities plan. Did I share that with you all?
unless you posted, I didn't see it, I didn't look for it, I didn't know about it, but
Yep, let me dig that out.
I found it with my other school the other day just by accident, but I didn't know we had.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what do we need to do is start going on that? Get somebody, like at least one board member, it could be any, however many board members we want. Yes, and then some people from the community and start looking at,
We have two.
Yeah.
Lots. Two.
and then will we bring that up at the next meeting and make that known that we're looking for that? Okay. Cool. Sounds good.
I'll put together a little version.
And then maybe a description of what we're looking for, like the roles and responsibilities of the, I don't know if you do bylaws or whatever you do for that. Or just maybe a focus, like, or
Yeah,
like, what is the purpose of the?
let me see if there's
facilities?
anything on this stuff.
Yeah, just so they know what's gonna be expected of them, that what we're looking for, then we can find the right talent.
Maybe,
too.
Mrs. Reese probably has some.
You're
I
right now.
have all that.
Oh, excellent.
And by the way, just so you know, there's already numbers on it and they are on there until you unappoint the ones that are on there or reappoint new ones or appoint additions.
So are they like, how do we find it? Like, I think you're,
We have it.
oh, okay, all right. Gotcha. Thank you. So we can just touch base with them and make sure they're still, they wanna be active.
I think there was one person who resigned, technically, that never, that position never, that spot never was, replaced.
And then, technology committee, we had, that one is off the tables, right? That we had talked about
Yeah.
last time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So we want to remove that from the agenda.
yes, please.
Yeah.
Right, everybody agrees that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna.
At least for the remainder of this year, or, calendar year, or.
Yeah, so we thought, I think the discussion went, and we thought it was gonna tie into this one. So I don't really know, unless, like, if you want one to do your budgeting, but that would be an admin committee, and we don't have to, you don't have to do the sunshine law and all that stuff. So if she needs one to collect requirements.
Yeah.
Technology related, but we as a board don't need that information to do our business or anything like that, so.
I've added Mr. Cook to the June, well, the June presentation, so you can get, you'll have a better idea that there's rotation of some plan.
Yeah, yeah.
Stuff, so. Yeah.
And then the board policy, so I have the ones that, you want to talk about this? Or-
I just wanted to say that we had a typo. It was 5113, not 5331.
I was gonna say, I couldn't find
Thanks
it.
for catching 5113.
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
but,
and I've uploaded it.
okay.
No, because I was looking forward, thinking.
Yeah.
I didn't know my number.
And then, so I have like, I don't know how many, there was maybe 10, I think they had in the folder. So I made some more notes and I had some questions. And so I'm gonna give those to you.
Can I ask in general, for the board policies, is there a category? Is there 3 of a certain kind, or is it 3 that are being revised, or is there any way to summarize that?
So all of them that are listed under public content have been revised. Either by Neola or Neola and us.
Okay.
So all of them have been altered. And need the board's approval.
And alter, so.
Is that where which ones had or hadn't? or-
I mean, all of these, right?
Yeah, all of them, yeah, all of those, have been edited and changed. Again, either by Neola or Neola. and-
And some were easy, or, you know, small, and then some were rather large.
Yeah.
But the ones that I just did, it had the markings of what we changed, but that was in our folder, it wasn't on here. The original ones were, and then you and I met, you
Yeah.
made the more changes, those are in our board folder, but, and maybe it's the same copy in here, but I went off of the board folder, so. Maybe that's where we need to be at too, but you can see all everything that's crossed out, everything was changed, everything's added. You can See all that.
In our folder.
Well, yes, they were in our folder, but they probably should be on the agenda. Okay. But those are the ones that I just did, but they weren't all of them. There
Yeah.
were still some that
I
weren't
see.
on there.
Let's see, yeah, we'll get those moved over.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And so after this last round, because this is like the second or third, I think it's like the third time we looked at it and still made some tweaks and whatnot. Yeah. And then, so those, I'll give those to him tonight after the meeting, and then I think that they should be good. You can see the last revisions.
Okay. And for all of these,
I can
then,
see those.
because they've all been touched again, it'll be back to the first reading for
Right.
all next week, or
Yeah.
next week only.
Tuesday, yeah.
Yeah.
But kind of, just so I can keep this straight, this is still the fall update that we haven't
This is the
approved, right?
fall date, yes.
Okay, so,
We'll set up a meeting once we get this
Right.
cleared.
because we still have a whole winter
Yep.
update that needs to be approved.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we need to move forward with some of this, especially like the Fair Labor Standard Act one, because that change, you know, has a change in our pay period. That's the one I'm
About the-
concerned. It is it's all about me, man. It's all about me. No, but I mean, I just wanted to make sure that these are all still from the fall, correct?
And then that rescind is the typo on that.
Yep, that's correct. And,
And then we're back to public participation. Oh, so, but we're not, well, this is public participation for next Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
We'll have to jump back to, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
The policies. Tina, can do you mind explaining, Mrs. Hagman, do you mind explaining the, that there's labor, Standards Act, the changes, I know it's the time and date, but can you explain that a little bit more?
Our pay periods weren't right. We start on Friday and
Yeah, I know, sorry.
Isn't that horrible? It's just, it was the
Long days,
yeah,
Friday to
yeah,
Thursday.
yeah.
Instead of
So-
holiday
Yeah.
Monday to
I
Monday.
don't do payroll everything now, so I can't remember what our pay periods
Yeah.
were. That was probably screaming at me, but yeah. So,
Did we revise it incorrectly to?
no, we revised it and then Neola came in and added some additional language that is required by law along the bottom, that wasn't in the first copy, so, yeah. It's like, they're like, okay, that hasn't been updated yet, you still have to approve this part. So they added to it, and anytime it's touched, we have to reapprove it. Go back through the process, so.
We need to stop touching.
Correct, I agree.
Thank you.
And then there's, in case we need executive session. Okay, so that goes
Said 5133.
5113.
113, that's what I'm thinking.
it's like,
No. Okay. Yes. Thank you.
You go to. Which reading stuff? Board docs.
Oh, on board, sure. Policies.
Agenda. And the draft.
Oh, no, I can't get to the draft. Once I sign in, and everything's visible. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I sign in, then everything will be.
Yeah, I was just gonna show the board. So I've uploaded, moved the ones from the board folder over. But they're all individual PDFs, so. But. You'll know those are the ones that we've. Done some things to, so
okay.
maybe that helps. Yeah. So. Okay. Done.
Did the RFP for the bleachers just go out? Sorry, it's kind of random.
No, we did one last year
Yeah.
about this time.
Do we have 3 quotes or
No. I have to get your approval. You have to authorize us to.
To
seek
do it.
those-
To send it.
Yeah. Back to. Yeah.
So this is ours, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're back to that.
Public
No,
comments.
okay.
Do we else have questions?
No more.
Okay, gotcha. And then we're back to public participation for Ms. Hughes.
Don Hughes, 9360 South Man Road. One question, I don't know the answer, so I'm gonna ask it out. Who oversees our library? Is it Tip City, the state of Ohio? Do we have a librarian?
Who oversees the library?
Building principal.
So is your
Really,
question,
we don't have a librarian, we just have aides that work in our libraries, so. For default is to the principal,
The principal?
the building principal.
Building.
So there's a library over there, so that would be Mrs. Hogan, Ms. Jones, here would be Mr. Fugate and Mr. Sword.
So each building principal would oversee the libraries of that. The next question is, how many levies do we have that's ongoing? I have a sheet here, I don't know if on your free time. Yeah,
Yes,
you can break it down for me and email me.
sure. I mean, actually, it's out here on the Montgomery County, Miami County, auditors. They have our rates and amounts that they want us to approve, so it's listed there. If you look at that and that doesn't help, give me a call, I'll see if I can put something together that's a little, oh my goodness.
Cause I was looking at that chart and it says continuing to continuing, continuing, continuing.
Mhm.
I didn't understand when it started, when it stopped. What really scared me was 37 years, 10 years. So in your free time,
Let me see here,
cause I have a lot of questions.
okay, so, these are the funds, you got general fund, capital improvement fund, these are inside mills. So that means that they did not require a vote, that was when the district first started. You have 4.5 inside mills, right? Cause you had to have some revenue source, so the powers that be in 1893 decided that 4.5 mills under the 10 mill limit would be necessary to run a district this size. Then sometime later, your debt amount millage was reduced by 2 mills, which is down here under the limitation, no limitations, and moved inside. So that's 2 mills of capital improvement. Which was no increase to the community, didn't require a vote because they actually reduced what you were paying on debt and moved that to capital improvement. So, and that's allowed by law. So then you have continuing 26.1, general fund 4, general fund. I can look and see, because I have all the dates, I think, on the summary that I did for you guys. Yeah, I have the summary that I did for everybody.
How much does it cost me and what's a mill and
Mhm.
those great words you're using, but I have no idea.
No, I can send you some stuff. I already have some stuff, so I can send you. Do you want me to email it to you or?
Yes.
Okay, I'll work on it.
So now, in the future, is that something that we could have on the website, so anybody who go out there, click on levies, and they would pull up all of that information?
Yeah.
Is that something?
Yeah, we can put that out there.
So maybe that's something we can look at, and then you, again, it's taking more
Right.
tasks off of you that, then people can.
And when you talk about the mills, I
Mhm.
don't know what that means, but dollar amount. If my house is valued at $150,000. Come with this, in your free time, I'd like you to personalize it to me,
To you? Okay.
because you have nothing else to do.
I don't, but
With your
that's, I
24
will
hours
do whatever you need, Miss Donna.
That's good.
Yeah, so I can work on something. Yeah, I had an article I shared with the
Yeah,
board
same.
that I wrote in when I was at a
Yeah.
different district, but I can,
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
hear the word mills, I'm going like,
yeah,
this mill, flour mill,
yeah,
old
yeah.
person mill.
I'll take a look, but yeah,
Right.
I can break it down for you.
Up in-
No puppy mills.
I know,
No.
about that one.
Definitely that's something.
So I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 continuous milling at this time right now. According to that paper I just gave you,
Yes. Mhm.
and it has no expiration date at all.
No. Now, you have to keep in mind that House Bill 9, I'm gonna say a bunch of words you probably aren't gonna. Because it's, yeah, but but House Bill 920, which was passed back in 1970, I think, 2 or 70, yeah. When I was just a child, doesn't allow the millage to go up too high. So let's say that property values skyrocket, right? House Bill 920 requires the county auditor to adjust our millage down to what they call an effective rate, where they collect the same amount or an equal to amount without putting too much burden on the community, right? So all that goes up is your inside millage, not your outside millage, but I will break all that down for you.
Because when you said inside, I'm thinking like inside the house.
No, inside millage, the state has its, because school funding is so easy to understand.
Well, good. And I had no idea.
Okay, so every district has 10 mills or less that they operate on. That was given to them at the inception or creation of the district. And that's what is broken down here, 10 mil limitation. So you'll see 4.5 and 2 and 2. So we have literally 4.5 effective mills that was given to us in 1893, right? That Doesn't,
I wasn't here then.
I wasn't either. So pretty much shortly thereafter, upon the creation of the district, when we needed to have some revenue. So, and then, like I said, we moved to 2 mills inside. So it's always 10 or less. That's called inside mills. Then every time you put a levy on, you always see the language. It says the board allows or is asking for something above that 10 mil limitation in the language. That's what they're referring to. So you've got general fund, general fund, general fund. These are all continuing. I'd have to go back and look at the years that they were started and passed, because I don't have that in memory.
I'm sorry.
I don't have
How
them
long
committed.
have you been here?
I've been here 3 years, but I don't have dates committed to memory, sorry.
Because
But
I was
I'll work
told
on
by-
it.
I was told by the property tax people, it's gonna jack up again.
Your values are, yeah, it's common, it's happening across the state, yeah.
And all those new homes that's being sold in Bethel Township, going to Bethel schools, is causing my house to go up.
Mm,
So I'm happy with that thought. So, yeah, thank you very much. And
Yeah.
I'll check with the building principals of those different libraries.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nobody else?
I was just gonna say, wasn't it in, it might have been January, but I'm thinking it was February. You had that broken down, because I remember,
Oh, yeah, it's part of the tax budget.
yeah,
Yeah,
and we already had like the dates, like one was 1979.
yeah, because it says on this that Donna just handed to me, it says tax year begins 1976, 1980, 1987.
Yeah,
Only one continuing has happened recently, and that was in November of 21. So, everything else is back from 87 and earlier, yeah. Yeah, one that has no date is probably the 1800s, early 1900s, but yeah, I'll work something out.
thank you.
Thank you, David.
We don't need an execution.
Nope, just before we close out, added a folder in facilities folder and the master facility plan.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, do we have a motion to adjourn? Okay.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session for item number 1. And then there would be no vote after. Okay.
Second.
All right, so then.
What, we have to say,
Item number
specify.
1,
Which item?
I don't have anything to read, but,
Oh, it should be on the.
hiring and compensation of yeah.
Oh, hiring and
It's the same one we
compensation,
used last night.
oh, that's a district official,
Officially.
okay, public official, okay. No,
I just didn't have one in front of me to read.
So do we have a motion then to go into
She did, second.
segment? Okay. And then, will you take roll, please?
Mrs. Leskowitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mrs. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. B?
Yes.
6:58. And executive session.
And there'll be no more discussion after this, so we'll close up shop after. I hope you guys didn't have to dinner.